So let's just get right into it. Today we're breaking down the exact strategy that YouTuber Amber Scholl says she uses to get, well, everything she wants. I mean, this is the woman who went from being a broke Postmates driver to building this huge brand with a dream house. And she swears it's not luck, but a system anyone can use. So we're gonna unpack that playbook step by step.
And it all kicks off with this, just an incredibly bold statement. She says it right to the camera. Dream car, dream house, dream career, she gets what she wants. And look, this isn't some humble brag. This is the core belief that the entire strategy is built on. And it's designed to make you stop and ask one very obvious question.
Exactly. How? You know, if this is a repeatable system and not just a bunch of happy accidents, then what's the actual method? That's the question we're here to answer, using our own framework.
Okay, but first things first, we have to get the ground rules straight. Amber is super clear about this. What she's describing is a practical strategy, not some kind of vague, magical thinking. And this is a really critical distinction she makes right at the beginning. She calls it a strategy because it's based on action. This is not, and she says this herself, some generic woo-woo manifestation thing. Think of it this way. It's about building a recipe and then actually getting in the kitchen and baking, not just sitting on the couch wishing a cake would magically appear.
So, let's jump into the first major step of the strategy. Before you do anything on the outside, all the internal work has to be done first. It all begins with building the right vision, and maybe even more importantly, the right mindset. And she breaks this down into 3 key parts. First, you have to want what you want without feeling guilty or ashamed about it. Second, you have to believe you can actually have it, with a level of conviction she calls delusional. And third, you have to start rehearsing what it feels like to have it, long before it's actually your reality. So what on earth does she mean by delusional? Well, picture this. She's driving for Postmates, barely making rent, and she pulls up to this super exclusive high-rise in LA. She literally walks up to the doorman and says, "I'm gonna live here one day." The doorman, of course, is completely unimpressed and tells her to get lost. She calls that delusional trespassing. Years later, she moved into that exact building. It's about believing something so hard that it looks absolutely absurd to everybody else.
And this is maybe her most famous story. Perfect example of faking it till you make it. She couldn't afford real marble floors, so what did she do? She covered the floor of her cheap apartment in peel and stick marble contact paper. For years, she walked on that fake marble, rehearsing the feeling, getting her brain used to the idea, until the day finally came when she was walking on the real thing in her actual dream house. It's all about making that future vision a tangible part of your present.
Okay, so you've got this wild, delusional vision locked in. Now what? How do you actually turn that into something real? Well, that brings us to the second, and you could argue, the most important part of our whole strategy, taking consistent, real-world action. Because that vision means nothing without the work. And for Amber, the action part boils down to 3 things. 1, you show up and put in the work every single day. No excuses. 2, you break down those impossibly huge goals into small, manageable little milestones. And 3, you gotta be bold enough to just ask for what you want.
And this little story is the perfect example of those manageable milestones. Back when she was driving for Postmates, she saw a pair of shoes for $75. She wanted them so bad, but she just couldn't afford them. So, instead of getting overwhelmed, she just made a simple rule. Do 1 extra delivery every single day and put that specific cash in an envelope. In just 2 weeks, she had the shoes. See, it's about breaking down the impossible into simple, daily, doable tasks.
This quote just ties it all together so perfectly. The vision board, that delusional belief, that's the wish. But the daily grind, the small actions, that 1 extra Postmates delivery, that is the spell that actually makes it happen. One is pretty much useless without the other.
Alright, so you've got the vision and the action working together. Now we get to what she calls the refinements, or the advanced techniques. Think of these as the mental frameworks that make the whole system hold up, especially when things start to get hard. Okay, this reframing of failure, it's a total game changer. It means that when a brand says no, or a video totally flops, it's not a dead end. It's just a data point. You're not failing, you're just doing market research. You're just figuring out what doesn't work so you can get 1 step closer to what does. It basically turns rejection into a productive tool.
Now, this one's a little more subtle, but it's a huge shift in perspective. The whole idea is to stop wanting things from a place of desperation. So, for example, instead of thinking, I hate my tiny apartment, I need to escape, the mindset becomes, I am so grateful for this home I've built, and I'm so excited to expand this happy energy into an even bigger
bigger space. It's about pulling your dreams towards you with gratitude, not chasing them out of unhappiness. And honestly, this is the fuel for the entire engine. Because when you're exhausted, when that market research is piling up, a surface level goal like, I want to be rich, just isn't going to get you out of bed. For her, the why behind her YouTube channel was a really deep need for community and a desire to help other girls who felt lost just like she once did. That's the kind of core motivation that makes the daily action non-negotiable.
Okay, so we've got the vision, we've got the action, we've got the mental refinements. It seems like a complete foolproof system, right? You just follow the steps and success is basically guaranteed. Well, this is where she hits us with the final and honestly pretty surprising truth that kind of reframes everything we just talked about.
Which brings us all the way back to that incredibly bold claim from the beginning. After laying out this whole strategy for getting everything you want, does it actually work every single time? The answer is a stark, simple no. And this might just be the most important part of the entire philosophy. After building up this whole system, she completely flips the script on the initial promise. And here it is. This is the crucial point. The real power of this whole strategy isn't that it guarantees you get a specific thing. The power is in the pursuit. The secret isn't in getting what you want. It's in transforming yourself into the kind of person who is capable of going after it relentlessly with delusional belief and consistent action. That's the real. And she leaves us with this final, powerful question. It just perfectly sums up her entire philosophy. It admits there's fear, it admits there's risk, but then it dares you to be more excited by the possibility that it could all work out. And that's a question not just about her strategy, but one we can probably all ask ourselves about our own biggest goal.